10 prediction for the year 2026. The Bears are moving to Northwest Indiana. Yes. Yes. The Bears are moving.
Yes! 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 Yeah, boy!
Yes. I predict, but I don't think they will move to Gary. I predict they will move to Hammond. That's my prediction. They will move to Hammond, which is closer to the Illinois border. Or some land that is near the border between Illinois and Indiana. And so, yes, that is my prediction. The Chicago Bears will kind of be the Indiana Bears. And what actually gave me the indication that this could be happening is the Kansas City Chiefs were in Kansas City, Missouri for like 50, 60 years. And they just signed an agreement to move to Kansas City, Kansas. So now they've moved across state lines to Kansas. So now the Kansas City Chiefs will be the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah. Yeah. And I think the Bears will do something different, similar. They will move across state lines. They, like many people, are abandoning Illinois for many reasons. So, yes, that is my number 10 prediction. The Chicago Bears are moving to Northwest Indiana. All right, folks, we are back here on WLTH 1370 AM. That is 92.7 in the FM dial. If you're nasty, right, Janet? All right, now, it is January the 16th, 2026. It is 6:37 in the PM. The future's here. The future is now. Yes, it is. And as you see, once again, 2 weeks ago, I predicted my number 10 prediction of the year 2026 was that the Chicago Bears would move to Northwest Indiana. And it looks like that could be a reality. At the time, about 2 weeks ago, which is about, 14 days, but it feels like a year already. I kind of was into it, but in the last few weeks, I've done a lot of research into what goes into holding these stadiums, and yeah, I'm kind of not quite as into it anymore. But let's get into this story, folks. The Chicago Bears have not, let me just say this, they have not officially relocated to Northwest Indiana yet. They have not officially relocated. They're just looking, they just expanded their search for a new stadium beyond Chicago and the Chicago suburbs, and they just so happen to be including us in Northwest Indiana as a potential option due to the stalled progress in Illinois. Now, why is Indiana being considered? Now, the Bears have been trying to replace Soldier Field, their longtime home, for many years. I don't know why they just don't fix it up or something. Soldier Field is one of the most iconic stadiums in the world. Like, Soldier Field is historic. Why you'd want to just destroy history to build, well, we'll get into that later on. Later in the story, we're going to get into this in a second. But I will say that I prefer they stay in Soldier Field, one of the greatest stadiums in the world, one of the most iconic stadiums in the world. Soldier Field is pretty much synonymous with the city of Chicago. All the concerts, the conventions, like just again, just so much has happened in Soldier Field. I don't see why anybody would purposely throw that history away unless they're exceedingly greedy, which we're going to get into in a second. Initially, they focused on a stadium in Arlington Heights, where they own land, but they have not secured the necessary infrastructure, support, or tax certainty from Illinois legislators, hurting the feasibility of that plan. Because of these challenges, the organization has said that it needs to expand its search across the wider Chicagoland region, explicitly including Northwest Indiana, to evaluate other opportunities. Now, while there is no official selected site, the Bears and the NFL have looked at multiple potential Indiana locations, including in Hammond, including areas near Wolf Lake and adjacent to major highways, which is where I think the stadium will probably go. Here in Gary, they've looked near the Hard Rock Casino and the Future Convention Center, which officials have highlighted as possible sites. Other undeveloped parcels along the lakefront near transportation corridors have also been mentioned by Indiana lawmakers and local boosters as places that could work. Now, one reason that this is really catching momentum, the idea that is catching momentum, is that the NFL commissioner, Roger Goodell, was actually here in Gary, here in Hammond, not too long ago. He's toured potential sites, both in Northwest Indiana and in Arlington Heights, signaling that the league is at least thinking seriously about possibly moving the Bears here to Northwest Indiana as a part of due diligence. Now, like I said, it's still exploratory. And they could very well be using us here in Northwest Indiana just to make, the people in Arlington Heights jealous. You know how girls do, like, anybody who's been young and in high school, that, girls love to play you against their boyfriend and be like, hey, my boyfriend ain't the best guy in the world, Hey, man, and you'd be like, that's real unfortunate. Let me embrace you. Let me embrace you. Your boyfriend's a real bad guy. I'd beat him up if I could. Where is he at? Well, that's basically what the Bears are doing with us right now. So they could just be using us to make their boyfriend jealous in Arlington Heights. And in a way, I kind of hope that is the case. Because as the research I've done recently on the last few weeks on what NFL stadiums do to communities, it is no bueno. It is no bueno. Surveys have even started being sent to season ticket holders. Bears season ticket holders are getting surveys asking them how they'd feel about a Northwest Indiana stadium, showing that the team is gathering data and testing fan reaction. Now, these sports stadiums are often sold as economic engines, but decades, and we have decades now of data and research, they have shown that they frequently hurt cities and taxpayers far more than they help these places. Okay, here's a clear breakdown of how and why. Most modern stadiums are largely publicly funded. That means with your tax dollars. And while the financial upside goes to the teams, the taxpayers are the ones that pay for the construction bonds. Taxpayers pay for the infrastructure upgrades, which includes the roads surrounding the stadium, the transit going to the stadium, the police that protect the stadium. Now, the teams, on the other hand, get to keep the ticket revenue. So all those people will be coming to the Bears game. We won't be getting that money. The Bears, the McCaskies will be getting that money. The teams also keep the naming rights of the stadium. They also keep the wealth from the luxury suites and from the concessions and parking. So even though they're parking on land in a stadium that we built with our tax dollars, the Bears will keep all of that money. Or whatever team in whatever city keeps all the money. So what you get is the only real risk is being taken by the public, not these multi-billionaires who own these teams. Now, another argument is there will be so much economic growth. Oh my God, they're just going to bring so many jobs and so much economic growth. No. No. That is not the case. No. 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 Okay. Independent economists have consistently found that sports stadiums do not significantly boost local economies at all. Money spent at games usually replaces spending that would have happened other places in the city, like in movies, restaurants, concerts, or just, stores around the city. Very few new dollars are actually brought in. And the jobs that are created are usually temporary construction jobs, or they are part-time and low-wage jobs like ushers and in the concession stands. Like, the issue with Gary and Northwest Indiana isn't that we don't have enough ushers and people who work at concession stands selling Chicago-style Polish. Cities with new stadiums usually see no measurable increase in per capita income, employment, or long-term tax revenue. And what's even worse is that stadiums leave a long trail of debt for municipalities. Stadiums are usually financed with 30 or 40-year bonds. Cities may still be paying off a stadium long after it's obsolete. So by the time you as a city pay off whatever stadium, it's time they'll be saying, well, we need a new stadium now. It's been 40 years. It's been 30 years. We need a new stadium now. And if you don't give it to us, we'll take our team and go somewhere else. We'll move to Wisconsin this time. Or we'll move back to, somewhere in Illinois after 30 or 40 years. These teams demand new stadiums every 25 to 30 years. So we may still be paying off a stadium even after it's time for a new stadium. And so this creates a cycle of debt, of subsidies, of renovation demands, and more debt because these stadiums constantly have to be upgraded. And then there is the opportunity cost. Every dollar spent at a stadium, or on a stadium, is a dollar not spent on public schools. Isn't that what we had all these referendums for? For the schools? Public transit, affordable housing, which is another thing we need here in the city of Gary. If we're going to get young people and families, which is what we need a tax base of young people with families. We need 25-year-olds to get married and have children and put their kids in Gary schools and pay taxes into our tax base. But they won't be able to do that without affordable housing. Also, police, fire department, or public health. Our police and fire department people are already drastically underfunded and regularly leave because they're not making enough money. The economists call this opportunity cost. That is what that is called. And also, they're underused dead zones. Underused dead zone. They are used between 8 and 10 times per year in the NFL. Think about it. The Bears have between 8 and 10 home games per year. These places are surrounded by parking lots that will be empty the overwhelming majority of the time. And unless there's some sort of event that you're having, what is going to happen? We already have a brand new convention center being built. A lot of stuff will be happening there. It won't be happening at whatever stadium the Bears have going on. And if they were, then what would be the point of the convention center? This leads to poor land use, neighborhoods that don't grow organically, and businesses that struggle on non-game day. What are you going to do when it's not Sunday? And if the Bears don't make the playoffs, okay, so what are you going to do from January all the way to what? August? What are you going to do from January to August? And then there's the tax breaks that drain revenue. These teams frequently receive property tax exemptions, sales tax breaks, free or discounted land, which is what we're offering them, publicly funded security, and cleanup. So when those fans trash the parking lot and trash the stadium every Sunday for 4 months a year, it'll be up to us, people from Northwest Indiana, to clean it up. These giveaways actually reduce the revenue that you would get, that a city or municipality would get, while increasing service costs on game days. And then there's displacement. And there's the gentrification. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord, I done said it, gentrification. Especially in a city like Gary or in East Chicago, those are really dirty words. These stadium projects often displace residents and small businesses. They raise rent and property taxes nearby. They push lower income communities out. And usually these promised revitalizations frequently only benefit the developers, only the robber barons, but it doesn't benefit the citizens at all. And then there's the inevitability of, like I just talked about, eventually after 25, 30 years, they're going to need another stadium. And then what? What are they going to do? They're going to use relocation as a threat against us, just like they're using it against Chicago and Northern Illinois as leverage to get more free crap out of the state of Indiana. And should I say Northwest Indiana specifically. Owners often imply and threaten to move unless they get public money. These are people worth billions of dollars. Billions. The McCaskey family has to be worth at least $5 billion. Every NFL team is worth $1 billion at least, if I'm not mistaken. And I know the Bears got to be one of the most valuable teams. They got to be up there with the New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys and the New England Patriots and teams like that. That, you know, the LA Rams, Oakland Raiders. Like, the Bears definitely have to be in the top 5 to 10 most valuable teams in the NFL. And yet they're going to use relocation as a threat, as leverage against us, the people of Northwest Indiana, after about 25, 30 years, when they want us to build them another stadium. So what this means is then the cities have to compete against each other. Municipalities and cities full of working class and poor people often competing against each other, throwing mud. It becomes a mud wrestling match. The owners extract the better deal. The taxpayers lose negotiating power. This is called stadium extortion. Stadium extortion by economists. Now, what is the academic consensus? The academic consensus from the economists across the political spectrum, Democrats, Republicans, the left, the right, whatever, all the economists agree sports stadiums are amongst the least effective forms of public investment. And who said this? Oh, just minor entities like the Brookings Institution, the University of Chicago, Stanford University. Like, nobody's like that. They found that these stadiums provide minimal economic benefit, negative or neutral net impact, and benefits largely captured by wealthy owners, and they trickle it down, some of that down to the players. But I'm not going to slander the players. They are labor, and I don't slander labor, because a lot of people love to talk about how much money players make, but the players are the reason everybody's tuning in. Nobody's tuning in to watch Michael McCaskey throw a football. They're tuning in to watch Caleb Williams throw that football. Millions, tens of millions of people are tuning in to watch Caleb, not Michael McCaskey or his mama, the late Virginia McCaskey. So I'm not going to slander them, and plus they don't make any of the decisions about this crap, the players. And so it always annoyed me, even in the NBA back in the days, whenever the NBA would go on strike or something, you'd see people, or baseball, you'd see baseball, I think it was in 94 they went on strike, people blaming the players. Why are you blaming the players? The players are just laborers just like you are. Why are you throwing a play? I mean, they're highly paid wage workers, but they are still wage workers. And like the owners, like I said, the people are tuning in to watch them. You are tuning in to watch them by the tens of millions, or in the case of the Super Bowl, 100 million people, over 100 million people, usually close to 200 million people are tuning in to the Super Bowl. Like, we got to stop hating on other laborers here in this country, period. You're much closer to Caleb Williams or, DeAndre Swift than you are to Michael McCaskey. 80% of NFL players are broke within 5 years. And a lot of that is because they don't have the type of shell companies and tax loopholes and all this other stuff that the billionaires have. They actually have to pay taxes. A lot of people don't know, whether you're LeBron James or Caleb, whoever, the players have to pay taxes in every city that they play in. They have to pay taxes in every city that they play in every year. So if LeBron James plays the Bulls in the United Center, he's got to pay some Chicago taxes that year. He's got to pay taxes in Cleveland, New York, Miami, Detroit, New Orleans, Utah, Salt Lake City, Sacramento. The players are some of the people actually paying taxes, unlike the owners. And so I don't tolerate slander of other working people, whether they are athletes or whether they are the people at Starbucks or the people at the McDonald's. We are stronger together, like a fist. So I don't hate on wage workers, even if they're highly paid wage workers, because they're still workers. Okay. Now, there are times, I will say this, there are times when stadiums will hurt less when they are privately financed, when they're built on already developed land, or integrated into mixed-use neighborhoods. And also when cities receive revenue sharing or ownership stakes. But these conditions are extremely rare. Now, hold on, caller. I'll get to you. I got to finish this story. there are here's some real life examples of what we've been talking about. Starting with, of course, the Bears. Soldier Field was renovated just 23 years ago with $660 million of public money from the people of Chicago and the state of Illinois. They actually reduced their seating capacity. Now they're the smallest NFL stadium. The Bears themselves generate huge revenue, but the stadium itself loses money. Now, the damage done has been that the Chicago taxpayers are still paying the debt from the renovation in 2003, 23 years ago. There's been no surrounding economic boom. Look at some of the problems Chicago has had in recent years, economically, politically, culturally. Did that renovation of Soldier Field in 2003 help them out at all? No. And now, of course, the Bears want a new stadium. In St. Louis, the city the city spent $300 million to keep the St. Louis Rams. Their lease forced the stadium to stay top tier. The owner, Stan Kroenke, refused upgrades and moved the team to Los Angeles anyway. The damage done was St. Louis lost their team. They are still paying the stadium debt. They don't even have a team anymore. The lawsuit settlement helped, but it did not erase the damage done. Public money does not guarantee loyalty from these teams. That's another thing. In Las Vegas, the Raiders will get $750 million in public funding. And how are they doing that? With a hotel tax, which means that everybody who's going to Las Vegas, if you've been to Las Vegas recently or are going to Las Vegas, that hotel tax that they have in Las Vegas, you're going to be paying for the Raiders Stadium. So their hotel prices have risen, which means less people are going to even be coming to Las Vegas to stay, which will affect the locals who are dependent on tourism revenue. The economic impact has been smaller than promised. And in spite of all this, the team ownership value of the LA, Oakland, now Las Vegas Raiders their value has skyrocketed. Is that benefiting the people of Las Vegas? No, not at all. Not one bit. The winners were just the NFL, Mark Davis, who took over for his father, Al Davis, some years ago, and, of course, the developers. The lesson learned from that is that the tourist tax ultimately affects the residents, In Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Now, when I was growing up, they played in the domes in Atlanta. I forgot what their dome was called in Atlanta. The Atlanta Falcons. Let me see what the Atlanta Falcons. I forgot what their stadium used to be called back in the days. Oh man, I forgot what I used to play. Yeah, they used to play in the Georgia Dome. And they played in Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. They've been in Mercedes-Benz Stadium since 2019. Now, in Atlanta, the Falcons got $700 million in public funding. They promised that there would be a revitalization of surrounding neighborhoods, but instead they got communities displaced around the stadium. Affordable housing promises fell short, and low-wage stadium jobs. That's all they get. And the low-wage stadium jobs replaced stable local businesses. So they were doing better before with stable local businesses and jobs that came from stable local businesses. Now all they have is low-wage stadium jobs. Now, What is the alternative? What is the alternative? And Lord knows I hate saying this, okay? I hate saying this because I hate the Green Bay Packers with a passion. I've hated the Green Bay Packers my entire life with a passion. But the one thing that is admirable about the Green Bay Packers and their franchise is that the Packers are a publicly owned nonprofit corporation. They are owned by the people of Green Bay, Wisconsin. Green Bay Packers, Inc. They have 540,000 shareholders. Their fans own the team. And their fans own 5.3 million shares. Shares are sold during occasional stock sales, usually to fund stadium projects. Now, the Packers stock is not like normal stocks. They don't get dividends. They don't get to resell for profit, and no ownership control like a billionaire government. It's basically symbolic and governance rights. But what they do get as shareholders, they get voting rights to elect a board of directors. They get a stock certificate, and they get to really say that they actually own a stake of their team. So if you could actually say that the Green Bay Packers and their fans are the only team that, they're the only fans that could really say, hey, this is our team. As we're seeing with the Bears are literally threatening to leave the state of Illinois. So who runs the team? Who runs the Green Bay Packers? They are run by a 7-member executive committee, a board of directors, and their team president is Mark Murphy, who's retiring. So that is the alternative. And notice, the Green Bay Packers are never threatening to leave Green Bay, ever. And the Green Bay Packers are usually competitive. Hell, they just got knocked out of the playoffs by my Chicago Bears. Last week, they were in the playoffs. They've won multiple Super Bowls. I think they've won 3 or 4 Super Bowls in the Super Bowl era. They've had some of the greatest players ever. Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, Reggie White. The Green Bay Packers compete with every other team in the NFL in spite of not being a billionaire play toy like every other team. Now, shows you the greed of the NFL. The NFL actually banned public ownership of teams after the Packers were grandfathered in. So they've actually banned this arrangement that has worked so well for the Green Bay Packers in the city of Green Bay, which is why the rest of us seem to be destined to be held hostage by these billionaires for the next, forever, until we get some laws that actually change and some cities and municipalities that actually stand up to these emotional terrorists who leverage people's love for their teams against them. The Packers are the only major U.S. sports team with this structure. So this matters. Why does this matter? Because there are no relocation threats, as I just talked about. They don't get to blackmail the people of Green Bay with stadiums. And Lambeau Field stays in Green Bay. And it is probably the most iconic football stadium in America, other than Soldier Field, which the Bears seem to be determined to get rid of. And their team decisions prioritize long-term stability over owner profit. Okay? The Green Bay Packers are owned by their fans, literally. And that is the only nice thing I'm ever going to say about the Green Bay Packers. Let me get to this caller. Hello, caller. What's up?
Hey, Brother Scott, straight out of a cannon.
Yes, yes.
The show with Juan and Eve before the lady, his name was Jean Maureen Davis, right?
I have no idea.
Oh, you have no idea?
No.
I thought she wrote a book titled Breaking Chains. I just want to make sure her name. And,
just go to WLTH's Facebook page. And you can rewatch Juan and Eve's show. You can find out the information from there. Or have somebody else do it, and you can get the information about the woman and how to get in contact with her or how to read her book from there.
Oh, I don't know how to do that. Can I just stay on the line and you read her name?
I don't know her name. I don't know the woman's name. I'm doing my show right now.
Oh, yeah, I know. Okay,
Thank you for your call, though. All right. All right, folks. Let's do this. Hopefully, our politicians here in Northwest Indiana will not allow themselves to be used by the Chicago Bears or any franchise in professional sports that wants to use the taxpayers and the Northwest Indiana community for its own personal gain while not giving back to our community. So hopefully Mayor Melton and Mayor McDermott and all these guys will do the right thing and not let the Bears bend the people of Northwest Indiana over barrel. I'm from Gary, but I want to see Hammond do well too. I was born in Hammond. I love Hammond. God bless him, but I don't want to see Hammond bent over a barrel either. But, judging the way a lot of politicians around here do things, I would not be surprised if my prediction from 2 weeks ago came true and you see the Chicago Bears performing every Sunday from, Hammond or from Hard Rock or something. All right, folks. That was a handful. Let's take a chill pill and do some happy happies. Be right back here on WLTH 1370M. That's 92.7 in the FM dial if you're nasty. Right, Janet? All right. We'll be back with the happy happies. Stay with us.